You are listening to the Disney Dream Girls, an unofficial Disney Theme Parks podcast, and this is show number 419 for the 17th of July 2022.
Where dreams begin.
Hello and welcome to this week's Disney Dream Girls. My name is Michelle Young, and together with my jolly good chum Jane Phipps, we are your guides to the place where dreams begin. Hello there, Jane, and how are things today?
Things are going very well, Michelle. Thank you very much. I've just had the privilege before we record this of going back to my preschool to see their Leavers concert. So I was watching all the little 3 and 4 year olds singing not singing their hearts out. They were dancing their hearts out, I should say, to their end of year concert, which was really quite sweet and very nice to be seeing it from almost a parent's perspective and not having to actually choreograph it this year.
Oh, it's always nice to go back and not have had all the hassle of preparing it.
Yeah, it makes you appreciate, actually. It's one of those things, we always have parents go, oh, they did amazing, and this, that, and the other, and we go, yeah, but they were much better in rehearsal. But obviously, I haven't seen rehearsals this year, so I understand now where parents, their perspective, and yeah, very sweet, very warm, but very sweet.
Oh, absolutely fab. Well, we've got some special things to talk about this week, Jane.
Have we?
We have indeed. Can you recall what day this show's going to be released on?
Let me think. The 17th of July. What could possibly have happened on the 17th of July, Michelle?
That little big alarm bell hit in my head when I thought, oh, the show's going to be out on the 17th of July. And lo and behold, it's a special celebration for Walt Disney's amazing Disneyland over there in California.
67 years young.
Absolutely. It cost an amazing amount of money back in the day of $17 million.
Wowzers.
Taking up 160 acres of former orange groves in Anaheim, California. And quickly, the cost of construction was paid off. And today, Disneyland hosts more than 18 million visitors a year who spend close to $3 billion.
Whoa.
Although, saying that, a lot of people who have annual passes over in Disneyland are questioning whether their amount of investment in their annual pass is actually worth it for the number of times they're able to get park reservations.
Yeah, we're in a strange bit of limbo land at the moment, aren't we? With coming out of the pandemic and passes and not being quite the same as they were before. It's going to be an interesting, probably a couple of 3 years yet, I think, before things maybe settle down a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a journey. Things are getting better. Things are starting to come back. And one of those things that is starting to come back over at Walt Disney World is our favourite thing to do, not character meals.
Do you not like a good old character meal, Michelle?
I love the fact I can go and have food.
Yeah, that's always a bonus.
Get up close and personal with the characters. Have pictures of people in the background with the mouth open chewing on a waffle. I don't think of anything better to stick on my living room wall, love.
Yeah, that's probably the only thing, isn't it? But you do get to meet those characters. And I know that both of us have had, very memorable experiences over the years with doing things like that.
Absolutely. But it's something now that I possibly would steer away from because, one, the dollar exchange rate to the pound is shocking and it's the lowest it's been in oodles of years, which means if I'm spending $1 in that theme park, I want it to give me ultimate satisfaction and value for money. And for me, going to Ohana and paying $25 for breakfast, yeah, that's fantastic. It gives me value for money. But in September, when Stitch comes back for his morning breakfast routine, is it going to be worth all the extra dollars of maybe $20, $30 on top just to get up close and personal with Stitch?
Yeah, and I know we talk about it from our point of view of travelling over and the exchange rates, but with everything in life at the moment, not just in this country, prices increasing, gas prices and energy prices and food prices, I understand potentially why that would have an impact on the cost of things at Disney anyway, but it's also having a bigger impact on the consumers who want to go along and enjoy things. And like you say, Michelle, are going to have to go and look long and hard and go, right, okay, where are we going to spend those dollars this year? How desperate are we to have that time with that character, as opposed to actually that $20 or $30 extra could pay for another meal somewhere or whatever.
Do I pay for Genie Plus so that we can go on attractions without as long a wait? Or do I take them all to Crystal Palace for a breakfast, lunch or dinner with the characters? It's those sorts of really difficult conversations. And for me, I'm saying I'm not going to do any character dining because I've paid for the Genie Plus and that was my decision. I'm saving those dollars. And yes, I do like meeting characters, but I'll scour down where they're going to be in the park and I'll do the best as I possibly can and have those interactions. But that's me. Everybody is different how they spend their Disney dollars. And if for you, you think, right, I'm going to have an hour and a half at Crystal Palace, I'm going to kick off 4 or 5 different characters that are going to have a really good interaction with either me or my children, my grandchildren, whatever, then that might be what is value for you. And the best thing we can just say about it, Jane, is that the characters are coming back and it's giving people the opportunity to do the things that they did pre-pandemic. And I think that is what we need to celebrate.
Absolutely.
And leave it up to people with what they're going to do once they know the characters are back at their eateries.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the thing, isn't it? It's great. That's positive to take out of all of this, is when we see entertainment and character meet and greets coming back and shows coming back and one thing or another. It's just that extra little bit, we're kind of, quote unquote, back to normal or almost back to normal. And that's what I think we all want, is to have that plethora of choice to go, I want to spend my money here or I don't want to spend it there. What's important to me is doing this meal, or what's important to me is doing this attraction, or whatever it may well be. So the fact that we have that choice coming back is the best thing.
And me being a tightwad, I've chosen a lot of places to go and have, particularly breakfast, where they now aren't characters because they don't come back till like September and October, and have an opportunity to try out some of the classic foods there without paying the upcharge of the characters. So for example, Cape May Cafe, there's a lovely breakfast over there with the, oh my word, salted caramel beach buns.
Ooh.
And I'm going to be trying all that lovely food at Cape May, and it's going to be so much cheaper because I'm not paying the upcharge for having a character. So that's going to be my last meal in Walt Disney World prior to going, hopefully, fingers crossed, touch wood, on the cruise.
Well, yeah, and I say, there was the, like you said at the very beginning, Michelle, you do that way, in that case, avoid the photographs with people, like you said, chewing away or not showing their best in the photos, because they don't know they're being photographed. And at least going to meet characters in the parks, and yes, you may have to wait a little bit or whatever, at least you know you're going to have a lovely backdrop and it's going to be all proper and nice and souvenir-y.
Hopefully.
Yeah, smell properly.
But yeah, guys, it's up to you now. So let us know if you're hankering to go to any of these places. And something that also has come back, which is a much beloved place for a many, is Hoop-de-Doo. And I gather you've been there, Jane.
No, I haven't.
No. Oh, I could have sworn it was Hoop-de-Doo you'd done.
Well, I have been over there. We did the backyard barbecue back in the day, which, I mean, I don't know when the last time they ran that anyway. But I'm a bit like you with the Hoop-de-Doo, Michelle. I'm not quite sure whether it's a British thing or not.
I'm definitely in camp Hoop-de-don't.
Yeah, I mean, now, Michelle and I, we love a good burlesque performance, don't we?
Absolutely.
We love a bit of cabaret.
Absolutely.
And there can be a little bit of audience participation in that, can there not?
Yes.
But it's not quite the same. It's a bit more classy, I suppose, but it's not quite the same as what's going on at Hoop-de-Doo. And for some reason, it kind of makes my toes curl a little bit.
Yeah, I've watched quite a lot of videos of all our vloggerati going and sharing and explaining what's happening at places such as this. You know, I am quite a YouTube addict at the moment, watching all of these wonderful experiences that these people who have the opportunity to visit every day or a lot more often than I have. And this is actually their living. And I've seen what they've done at Hoop-de-Doo. I think the food looks okay. It's not my food palette. I don't like gnawing on ribs. I don't like chicken drumsticks or anything like that. So it's not my food place anyway. But the idea of whipping out a handkerchief and swirling it in the air and stomping and clapping, that's not me. I am a very typical British girl in that respect, where I would at that point be cowering under the table and pretending I weren't in the room.
Yeah, and I think there's nothing worse than going somewhere and you don't feel 100% comfortable. It's going to take the shine off it, isn't it? So
Yeah.
it's never been on my bucket list to do. I used to really enjoy the backyard barbecue. That was really good fun. Very family orientated. Again, like the Hoop-de-Doo is. And we had some cracking times there. And yes, you could get involved, and there was lots of characters, and there was lots of line dancing and things like that. But you didn't have to if you didn't want to. And it was I don't know, maybe because it was open air, you didn't feel maybe as connected, I suppose, into getting involved and doing things. You could sit on the peripheral and just watch and what have you. So I don't know, but yeah, not something that I've ever hankered after, and I've not been persuaded otherwise since.
Guys, I know I've generalised and said it's not really a British thing. Prove us wrong. If you've been to Hoop-de-Doo and you've loved it, sell it to us. Let us know. And the Chip and Dale's Campfire Sing-Along at Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground is coming back as well, Jane. So there's lots of fun things coming back, and I think there's a lot of things for us to be thankful for, because obviously when they weren't in the park, a lot of people missed them, and it just took the sparkle off their Disney trip.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's something that you've always enjoyed doing, Michelle, is all the meet and greets. It's not something that's been at the top of my list to do, but having said that, I do appreciate that people have this desire to go and meet the characters, and just the fact that stuff is coming back, entertainment is coming back. There's still a few things that we'd like to see, but it's getting there, and that's the important thing.
Yeah. There's been a lot of a to-do this week with the International Food and Wine Festival items being announced.
Oh, right, okay.
It's really exciting because it is showcasing a lot of people's favourite Disney princess, and that is Tiana.
Oh, what's this then?
There's a whole range of homeware featuring our much beloved character, and thinking about things like, what better to be smashing up those digestic biscuits to make a cheesecake than with a Tiana themed rolling pin. I can't think of it any better, but obviously there's going to be collections with Mickey and Minnie. Figment always wheedles his way in on these celebrations. There's going to be Remy as well. There's a whole host of things that are just labelled as 2022 Epcot Food and Wine. There's that classic little plastic plate with the holder space for a wine glass, so that when you're eating around the world, you can hold your wine and your food at the same time.
And look elegant and sophisticated.
And look elegant. I must admit, I am in the camp all hog for food and wine. I'm even preparing on my very own sewing machine right now a special tablecloth to put on the trash cans to elevate my trash can dining.
Oh, I look forward to seeing that, Michelle.
Well, it's class, Jane. It's all about classiness.
Well, and that is exactly what we are, Michelle. We are class personified, aren't we?
Absolutely. So there's lots of lovely merch coming through. I don't see any references yet to the much loved by myself and David Maruka trash cans, as in the little salt and pepper shaker ones.
Oh, yeah.
Because we collect them like crazy, and I've not seen one.
Oh, I can't believe they're not doing them.
Yeah. There's a really cool Spirit jersey, which is a very dark navy, and then they're using all sorts of food items to replicate the lettering. And some of them just, the letter G, they've used a cherry pie with the lattice pastry top with a little sort of, I'd probably say 45-degree angle, being all mathematical over here with the fractions, slice taken out of it. And all I can think is Pac-Man.
Oh, yeah. No, I can see where you're coming from, yeah.
That's not a G, it's a Pac-Man. That doesn't make sense. What? And the W is 2 cones of little something, and it's very bizarre. But it looks cute. Probably not one for me to buy this year because, again, it's checking up on those finances. And the big buy for me is going to be in Norway, where I'm going to be able to buy some Layla perfume because I have actually rationed it this year for special occasions because I normally go through a bottle about once a year and then replenish on my next trip. Well, not been since 2019, so I had to ration it.
Bless.
I know. But lots of really nice, cute things this year, and I can't wait to see more of them in the shops and also finding out their prices.
Yeah, they don't tend to announce those, do they?
No,
They're
they
crafty when that comes
tend
to
to be a
it.
bit of a secret.
Can't think why.
Now, as recording, there has been a bit of a failure of a particular attraction at Walt Disney World.
Is this one where you might get wet?
Well, these guests definitely did, because over at Splash Mountain, as it sort of ekes towards its final death toll on that big old bell, getting closer and closer to the Tiana makeover, yet again, for the third time in nearly 2 years, a log with guests aboard has sunk down to the bottom of the ride, and the guests have got themselves a ickle-bickle wet.
I wonder what. Like you say, this is the third time, isn't it? Surely to goodness, they must know why this is happening. Why are they not doing something to stop it happening?
Well, it's my knowledge of physics, having got a physics degree, tells me very simple theory that it's either overloaded when it sets off.
Okay.
It's got a hole in the bottom and it's letting in water. Or as it's been going around, too much water's been getting into said boat.
Yes. Well, perhaps the overlay or whatever we're calling it, the reimagining of Splash Mountain can't come soon enough. Then, if it will give them the time to get these issues sorted.
Well, we shall see. The thing that puzzled me though is if you were on said attraction and it sort of sunk on you, which, you know, let's be honest, we all love it. Those of us who are really nerdy love to be on an attraction when it goes down so that we get evacuated and get to see some hidden secrets of the attraction that you normally wouldn't see. Am I on the right path there, Jane?
Yeah, I think we like to see the inner workings. It doesn't spoil the magic for us, does it? Because we have a greater appreciation for the design that goes into these rides and the concepts behind it and the engineering behind them as well. So I think if you get those opportunities, whether it's on a backstage tour or through an unfortunate event, we don't kind of look at it as completely unfortunate, do we? We kind of look at it as like a bit of a bonus to be able to see the inner workings.
We know on the Haunted Mansion that those ghosts are created by Pepper's ghost. We know over on Figment that butterfly missing illusion is Pepper's ghost, but we still love it. And anyway, so if that was you, Jane, on the attraction, what kind of compensation would you be looking for from Disney? Because obviously you'd have a very soggy bottom.
Well, I mean, I've looked at the photos, and from the photos that I've seen, the people are stood in the water.
Yeah.
So we're not just talking soggy bottoms, we're talking soggy feet. Soggy
feet and soggy trainers. So, you know, I'd be quite happy if Disney sort of said, okay, let's go down Main Street, let's go in the Emporium. What would you like? Well, I'm going to go for some Disney Crocs. I'm sorry, love them or loathe them, but my feet are wet. They don't tend to sell trainers in the theme park. Disney Crocs would make me happy.
Yeah, I could do that. I mean, say I'm not a Croc girl normally, but, you know.
I'd never buy them because they're so expensive.
Yeah, ridiculously expensive.
But if I've got soggy trainers and Disney are saying, hey, let's get you some new clothes.
Oh, yeah, and I think it would be prudent upon them to do that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you know, you can't be having guests sort of having the emotional distress of nearly drowning on Splash Mountain.
Well, you know, as much as we joke about it, Michelle, and obviously we would be quite tickled if we did get to see the inner workings of these rides, which is great. However, there's also I want to use the word trauma, but I think trauma is too much. But for some people to get stuck somewhere where it's unfamiliar, it's dark, they're not really sure what they're doing, they're having to wait for cast members to come along and help them out. They might be taking it into their own hands of getting out before they maybe should. You've got all sorts of complications with that involved, and dangers as well, to be fair. I mean, Disney do need to look after them.
You've also got the idea that this could be this one guest's one day in the Magic Kingdom, that they're never going to get to go on that attraction ever again.
Yeah.
And the ride will go down and they might not get back on it again.
Well, yeah, and especially at this point in this particular ride's history, where we know it's not going to be around in this format for much longer. So there is that element of I suppose we are fortunate, Michelle, in that when we do go to Disney World, because we're coming from the UK, we will be over there for normally 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks. So if we don't get to do a ride on the first day in the Magic Kingdom, we know we're going to, prioritise that something or other on subsequent days in the Magic Kingdom. But we know that our American friends will go down to Disney World for much shorter periods of time. And it could be still could be a once in a lifetime visit. And if you've gone, well, we're going to go down for 4 days. We'll have a day in Epcot, a day in Hollywood Studios, a day in Animal, and a day in Magic Kingdom. And on those days, you can't do what you want to do because you've had some sort of traumatic experience like this, then that's going to put a serious damper on your affairs, isn't it?
Completely. And, I get my Crocs.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably get some, see if there's any nice leggings or a dress even. I think I'd be quite happy at getting out of my soggy clothes and Disney picking up the bill and maybe giving me a return for the attraction to be able to go on it later at a convenient time. I don't feel I'm being greedy now. I'm kind of thinking, well, yeah, Disney's caused me to get unnecessarily soaking wet through.
Yeah, and I think we have seen this before, haven't we? Where Disney have made sure that people have been, made comfortable and issues with wet clothes have been sorted out. So yeah, I agree with you, Michelle. I think it would be extremely honourable of them to go, come on then, let's go into and let's sort you out with some replacements so that you can enjoy the rest of your day. Because if this has happened, early in the morning and you've got a full day ahead of you, the last thing you're going to want to be doing is walking around in squelchy trainers. It's bad enough when you do it voluntarily and you've been on some silly, water ride and you've come off a bit wetter than you thought you were going to end up.
There's still a fair long list of attractions I would like to get broken down on. Some are higher order than other. I don't think I'd ever want to be broken down on the TTA because it's not really that exciting.
Well, no, because all you're going to be doing is sat somewhere, and if you're sat in the dark, it's not going to be very interesting, is it?
Yeah, but there are other attractions. I haven't been broken down on Space Mountain over in Walt Disney World. That'd be a cool one.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, if you're at the top and they say, do you want me to push you down? And all the lights are on. Super cool.
Yeah.
I can't really think. I'd love to see inside Rock and Roller Coaster.
Okay.
That'd be an interesting one. And also Peter Pan. But with Peter Pan, I believe that they get ladders up for you, and that'd be scaring the bejeebers out of me.
I'm going to say this is something that you'd have to be... Yeah, there's going to be certain situations where, we talk about, standing in water on Splash Mountain, but, there are rails and things underneath guiding those logs. Oh. So you're going to have to be extremely careful of where you're going. And likewise, like you say, if you're on a ride that's particularly high up, depends where the exit points are, depends whether, you might be perfectly fine going on a ride because it's a ride, but the lights come on and then that realization hits of, oh, this is where I am in relation to the ground. Those fears could kick in if you're going to have to use ladders or whatever, or, I don't know. So it's a peculiar one. I have to say that I don't think I've ever been on a ride that has broken down. I've had a few false starts on rides, where you'll get into a vehicle. Remember on Dinosaur, And it was a case of we just literally moved and we got into position for the start of the ride, and the power went and the lights came on, and then started messing about with the vehicle that we were sat in. So there's obviously some issue with our vehicle, and we thought, all right, we're going to get evac'd off here. This is it. They didn't say anything to us. We were kind of like left a bit in the dark, as in we didn't know what was happening. But within about 5 minutes, we were back up and running and we went off again. So I've had a couple of those type of things, but I've never, unfortunately, from the geeking side of me, ever experienced an evacuation.
You see, we don't go to the theme parks enough together, Jane, because I seem to be a journer. And
Yeah.
I have been broken down on Test Track a couple of times, Space Mountain, quite a few attractions over the parks. But yeah, we'll see what this summer brings. Not that I'm wishing ride failures on myself.
No, just the cool ones.
Absolutely. So before we finish off, there's a bit of a rumour going around.
Oh, like a good old rumour.
I love a good old rumour. And Tomorrowland at Disneyland is rumoured to be having a much beloved attraction brought back from the death as a slightly different incarnation, but of the same sort of area. Any ideas of what we're talking about?
Well, I do, because I've read the article today as well. The Tomorrowland Transit Authority Wedway People Mover, whatever we want to call it. Finally.
Yeah, because we had rocket rods.
Which, yeah. But it's going to interest. Well, I'm intrigued by this, Michelle, because we know that some of the track from the original People Mover is no longer there. We also know that one of the reasons that rocket rods kind of failed was because it was damaging the track. And as I understood it, those parts of that track weren't actually safe. So if they are going to reinstate it, this sounds like it's going to be quite a big overhaul for Tomorrowland, which I appreciate it is in need of, because I always think Tomorrowland is a strange one. I think in Paris, because they called it Discoveryland, and they picked that Jules Verne-esque aesthetic to go with, it's a little bit easier. But when you're trying to do that prediction of what the future is going to be, which is what Tomorrowland has always been about, it's always that weird one where actually the future catches up with what the predictions were 10, 15 years ago and starts to overtake it. So it has this weird sort of outdated retro-y vibe, doesn't it? So I'm very intrigued as to what they're going to do.
Well, let's see if the rumours are true, and let's see if anything is announced at this September's D23 over in Anaheim. And fingers crossed that there is some concrete news, because there's nothing more that a theme park fan loves is the news that we're going to be getting something new and exciting.
Definitely.
Gets us all giddy.
It does indeed.
Right, guys, that's about it for this week. I hope you've enjoyed the show. If you want to get extra bonus content from us and support us at the same time, it's patreon.com/Disney Dream Girls. We're on Instagram and Twitter at DisDreamGirls. We share, you share, we all share on our Disney Dream Girls podcast family page on Facebook. See if you would like to join us along and find out more about our loves of Disney. But until then, it's a goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.